is the first everyone sees this. This is my Wildcat 700 trail. We're having some issues with this thing right now. I got to get those taken care of. Came out in the shop the other day and the shock blew up. Oil all over the ground. Oil was coming all out of the top seal. And this is a 2016. It's been ridden pretty hard. So these are just the stock factory shocks. The coil springs are a big issue with these with sagging. So I wanted to upgrade the coils anyway. So now it's time. I ordered a pair of Elkas, stage 1. They're like 6-7 weeks out. I want to do a riding video before and after, do like a little review on them, but I can't really do a review with a blown shock because there is no oil in it. But this is pretty much a stock 700 Wildcat trail. Didn't really do a whole lot to it. I put bigger wheels and tires because it was only 50 inches, so now it's 51.5. I put these traction grabbers. There's an 8-ply radial. Awesome tire. They last almost nowhere. I have 1,000 kilometers on these. I have almost nowhere at all. And these are 27s, I believe, 27 or 28s. But all I've really done to this machine, I put better lights, put some aux beam lighting on it, and these are amazing. These are awesome lights. I think they were like 60 bucks. Put a 4,500 pound winch on it. Nothing too crazy. Had a roof custom made for it. And most importantly, because these are known for catching on fire, I did the catalytic converter delete. I know it looks pretty OEM, but I cut here. I took this, cut the end off here, cut this weld, pulled the whole exhaust out, and the cat is right in here. And by taking the cat out, I lowered the exhaust temperature by 200 degrees. Because these always catch on fire because you get the heat right here, and then the fuel tank is right in front of here. So before they didn't have this heat shield, this plastic would catch on fire and then they would burn to the ground. Today's video, look what came in. Had to wait, these ended up coming in like 4 weeks. It's not much of an unboxing video because I got too excited and I opened them up already. But these are the new shocks for the old Wildcat, the old Wild Kitten. These are just Elka stage 1s. Replace the blown out shocks that are on it right now. This one here we haven't touched yet. This one's still in the wrapping. Check these things out. If I can get this one out of there. Check those out. In a minute here I'll compare these to the stock Fox shocks. These look like they're a little bit longer than the factory shocks. But this should be quite an improvement because on the Wildcat 700s with those sagging springs, especially this one with the blown out shock, I can't wait to get those things on. So we got this thing over here, got it ready to go on the hoist. I wanted to measure it first. I measured it from right here. We got 10.5 on the driver's side to the floor with the stock front shocks. And then on the passenger side, we have 10 inches. This is the side that's got the blown out shock, this guy right here. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna change these things out, remeasure it, see if we can get it set as close as we can, and then see what happens. Okay, so first off, we're gonna get the front end off the ground here. Got it all set up on the hoist. Now we're gonna lift it up. This is what it'd look like if it had a lift kit on it. Big lift kit. Get some 35s on there. Okay, so we got her all set up on the hoist. We're all ready to rock now. So this is what we got going on. We got to pull these upper shock bolts. Pull this one single lower shock bolt out of the way. I'm going to support the wheel so we don't pull in this line too hard or break the tie rod or anything. So we're going to support it, and then I'm going to get these yanked out, and then we're going to compare them to the new Elkas. See the difference. It looks like these are definitely a lot smaller. The shaft's a lot smaller. The springs look like they're about the same thickness, but they're definitely longer on the Elkas. This is a pretty quick swap out, but these are the only tools that we're going to need today. We got a ratchet with a 15 mil. We got a 10 mil socket, 10 mil wrench, 15 mil wrench, and a 13 mil wrench. Now we're just going to get these off of here. Get everything loosened up. You get the 10 mil down here, and then you got the 15, and then you get your 13 on the inside, the outside. Okay, so we're ready to go. Ready to pull this shock off. Start up here with the upper bolt. This would be easier with power tools, but they're not required. You can do it without. Do it the old-fashioned way. And we're going to take that lower shock bolt. Let's get you in there so you can see what we're actually doing here. Okay, now before this drops, I'm going to get something to support the wheel. Okay, I got the wheel support. I could have just lowered it down to the ground, but it's at a good height right now. The camera's all set up, so I put a jack with a couple blocks of wood. We're going to take this bottom lower shock bolt out. Okay, and that's it. Okay, so now we got that off that stud on the bottom. There's like a sleeve. I can go ahead and lower the wheel a little bit. Lower the jack down. Just to give me a little bit of clearance on the shock. Okay. Now I can take the upper shock bolt out. And that's that. Okay, we got the shock out side by side next to the Elka. This is a factory Fox shock. This is the one that's blown right out. You can see the oil all over it. Look at the mess. And then this is the Elka. They're roughly the same length. These ones are going to have a little bit stiffer springs. These springs are definitely sagging. And then one of the biggest things I noticed is these shocks are inverted. So the stock shocks are inverted. This is the top, the rod sticking out of the top. And then the Elkas, the rod sticks out of the bottom. But look at the difference. Look at the difference in the shocks. Look how tiny the rods are on the factory Fox shock versus the Elka. Same with the bump stop. Look at the size of the bump stop on the Elka compared to the factory Fox shock. Okay, so the next step here, I grabbed some of this red and tacky grease. This is my favorite grease to use on these machines. Now what I'm going to do here, I'm going to grab a little bit of this grease and just put a little bit on, I guess, the pivot pin here, where the shock mounts to. I just cleaned off, with a wire wheel, I just cleaned off all the rust and debris so it fits nice and tight. I just test fit the bushing. Put a good amount on there. Because this thing is going to see some abuse. Okay, and then you want to do the same with the bolt for the top. We'll get this thing mounted. Okay, so next we're going to want to take some blue Loctite. I'm going to put some on the upper bolt. Because you don't want these things coming off. So I got this thing's all lubricated with the Lucas red and tacky. Go ahead, get the nut started here. And same with the bolt on the bottom. You definitely don't want these coming out. And we'll get it all tightened up, and we'll do the same with the other side. Okay, we got the install complete. We got the shocks in. Let's see how they do. Look at that. That looks way better. Let's go to this side over here. Look at that. Everything's all tightened up, lubed, Loctited. Let's get this thing on the ground and see what happens. Okay, let's lower it down. Curious to see what it's gonna do. I think it's gonna be a little bit taller. Moment of truth. Oh, we didn't get a whole lot of sag. I have to roll it because it's probably bound up. We'll give it a good roll and we'll see what happens. There we go. Let's get a measurement now. Okay, so we got it sitting on the ground. Gave it a little bit of a roll so that everything squatted down, and I gave it a measure. So on this side, we had 10.5 inches from the bottom of the skid plate, and this is just the factory setting that they came with. Before, with the factory shocks, I had 10.5 inches. It's now sitting at 11. And on the other side, I had 10 inches. That's the one with the blown shock. I had 10 inches, and now it's sitting at 11. So it's sitting at 11 on both. Got to take it for a ride, see if they're going to sag a little bit. And they came with all the tools to adjust them. Came with this little bag. It's got some, it's got a little set screw. Came with an Allen key for the set screw. And this is the shock adjustment tool. So I might have to adjust that for taking it for a ride, but we're going to take it for a ride once it quits raining here, and we'll give you guys an update.